Welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club with 4 race starts. We're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders. In green, our Category 2. In blue, Category 3. And Category 4 in red. It's all about making sure that you are in the right place and if ideally driving the race. You want to be in control of the race. You don't want to be following everybody else.
7 Category 3 riders now in that leading group. And Ella Vink, well, I think she's going to get a toe back to at least the 2nd position. Ella Vink has kicked. Ella Vink is wanting this, and that is the banner. Vink sees the finish line. Vink kicks. It's Category 4. Ella Vink, she is going to be your winner today.
One rider is going to be Hadlock, is it? She's gone hard. She's at 7 watts per kilo. She's kicking at 10. Massive kick from Hadlock. She's going to take this victory by a mile. What a ride.
It's Vink coming in for the win. This is the banner. The celebrations are starting. Ella Vink pushed on that final climb, and she's your winner in Category 4.
It's a big kick from Stefania Sanchez. And can Sanchez hold it to the line? It looks like Alzate's going with her, and Alzate's gone over the top. Alzate can't hold it, no. It's going to be Sanchez. Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Qualifier Race 1. It's October. It's great to be back in the same studio as my co-host here today. My name is Matt Payne. You can catch up with me on social media at Matt Fixer Payne, and I am here with
Emma Martin. It's great to have you in the same studio this week, Matt.
It is, I know, actually physically in the same place, and we have done quite a bit of travelling backwards and forwards as well.
Yep, indeed. And you were joining us at the mountain bike last week. Mountain bike? There's too much going on. BMX last Sunday is where you were. Mountain bike was where we were on Friday.
It was, and in between, I've also done the Crosscast podcast. So if you don't have enough to listen to me now, you can also get me down on the Crosscast podcast if you're a cyclocross fan as well. So BMX and cyclocross
and mountain biking, and now
back to our
My Whoosh Sunday Race Club.
Definitely, it is the Sunday Race Club. Where are we, Emma?
We are in Arabia today. The women are on half feet today. This is one heck of a course. 35 kilometres of racing, 905 metres of climbing. And take a look at that. 2 climbs today, 1 Category 4, 1 Category 1. And along the way, 5 300-metre sprint segments. Now, these 2 climbs, the Category 4 climb coming at 9.5 kilometres into the race. It's 3.5 kilometres long with an average gradient of 2.9%. But it is enough to start to break the racing. The final climb, the checkered flag, is going to be at the top. It's 9.5 kilometres. Yes, 9.5 kilometres long, a 7% average gradient, but it will kick to over 13%.
And of course, we have the climb segment finishing what is 500 metres prior to the finish line of the race itself. And we'll be using those sprints and the climb segments as a snapshot on the race to bring you all of the race information as much as we can get out to you. So 4 categories are going to start. You can see the time gaps in between are 5 minutes between categories 1, 2, 2 to 3, and 3 to 4. And the first rider's way will be category 4 in the red. They're down on the boardwalk. They are lined up, and a great field lined up here today, Emma.
Yes, it was going to be so interesting in all of our categories today. So 15 riders on the start sheets today in category 4. And what is going to make this interesting is that we have had I need to put my teeth in today. A phenomenal number of riders moving up categories because their performances have been so good. We've had a real move around for the start of October. So, but Rekka, Bello, Vink, Gentili, Idzik and Smithson have moved up to Category 3, leaving Category 4 wide open.
So here we go. We are going to get away on the very first start of our very first qualifier in October. It's Category 4. The clock counts down and away we go out on to the course. We have 35 kilometers, 905 meters of climbing. The qualifiers begin. Our Category 4 away on the boardwalk. One group, everybody cleanly out from those start pens, nobody left behind. And this group will be looking to put down some great performances here today. And of course, take advantage of the movement of those riders who have moved up from 4 to Category 3.
Yeah, they have indeed. I mean, we've got some good riders still in this category. Obviously, Nicola Lloyd is here, Sarasuk, Paolo, Gill, Kirchner, Mayer, De Gracia. There's still some really strong riders in here, but let's take a little look at the final last week, because the Watt Queens took the team competition from Team Love by 34 seconds, which tells you just how strong this category was and how wide open this category is going to be with those strong riders moving up. 6 riders moving up. Look at what has already happened, though, on the start of this race today. We are not even a kilometre in, and the stretch on the category, the stretch on those riders, particularly evident in that bottom left-hand corner of your screen. This start has already done damage.
Yeah, that radar view that you can see there just showing the brakes, the splits, the little bit of a stretch. So the riders we're in with is the largest red disc. That's Maria Gill. The rest of the groups behind just fractured across that roundabout. And that is pretty telling here. You can see the distance. There are chasers trying to bridge back across. And if you've been caught on the wrong side of the gap, then you're going to be in trouble. But remember, of course, it's not just about racing for the win in the top 5. And of course, we're always going to be focused on that because it is a race, but it's also about racing against each other. So if, like me, you're not necessarily going to be right at the very front of the racing with the prizes and all the glory, it's actually also about racing against your friends, knowing who is what, where and when. Great to see Salama Al-Kabi in here, one of our regular riders. She's going to be racing against now I think it's going to be Carolina Spina in there in that same group. Looks like Daniela Rego in there as well. Just taking a quick look. So there is going to be a great race here, and that's what it's all about. It's about racing and riding with people and knowing where you are against them week in, week out, and that's what drives us all on, isn't it? Certainly just to me as well, because it's not the prize money, because I don't get any of that. Never win
well,
that.
It is indeed, and that is the absolute joy of these 4 different categories put together with like-level riders. And it doesn't matter whether you're at the front of the race, there is always someone to race, and you know, that individual competition between the riders each week is absolutely fantastic. Now, a couple of new riders in here. Eni Rios, fabulous to see her. Poliana de Gross as well. So really good to see new riders coming in, riders being allocated to categories, and riders progressing. And I think that for me is a story of this women's race this week.
And I think it's really good, isn't it? We've seen all these people, just seen Rios here, up here. So any Jimenez Rios currently going through the garage through the Ferrari world in that little bit of a dip. On the way down, you can just see 0.3% on the climb back out again now. So dipping down and climbing out. You can see the group in front knows that there are riders behind as well. And that no man's land is a tough place to be, isn't it? Because we've still got a long way to go. Yeah. We've got a lot of draft to be gained by riding with somebody. But if you've been caught out, it's so frustrating. I'm sure many of us have been in this position. Get caught out from the front group, left behind by the front group, but not wanting to drop back to the group behind. We'll see what happens as we watch the racing continue onwards. Category 4, while they're on the right of the screen, we're going to leave them for a moment. Continuing on the course, we're going to go across to Category 3. They're the riders in the blue, down on the boardwalk. They're all lined up and ready to go.
Well, they are indeed, and this is category 3 in the blue jerseys, and 22 riders in this race field today. And as we mentioned, 6 riders coming up from category 4, riders from category 3 going up to category 2. So again, I think this is going to be really, really interesting. Marin, Areas, Giuliano, Castano is in here. So is Alzat, Gentili, Hino, Smithson and Vink coming up, and it's going to be really interesting to see what they can do here today. So we are down on the start line. We are in with Polio Hino, and this is going to be a really interesting race today. So the power's going down, and category 3 are away on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Cup. This is the 1st of October. It is the first qualifying race, and category 3 are up and out of the start pens as they cross the boardwalk and head out onto the course today. So a steady start here. Slightly different than we saw from category 4. In fact, Vink moving through to the front of the pack. Jackie Giuliano is in there. Julius Montoya, Carolina Alzat, Judy Castano. They are all in this pack, and this pack has come out as a tight group as they move through and out onto the race.
Really interesting to see the start here, Emma. I'm just
so steady. Look at it.
It's very interesting. It's smooth. We can tell that by the power that's been put down by the riders. We can tell by the heart rate. We can also tell by the way that the riders have formed up across the row. So if you've previously just watched live action from outdoors and you're wondering how that translates to an indoors environment in terms of esports, well, it's pretty much the same. If the group's spread across the row, basically everybody's up taking a chat, having a coffee, drinking from the water bottle, maybe having a gel. The pace isn't on, but when the pace goes on, it will line out in one long thin line when somebody is attacking, when the pace is really being wound up, and you'll see that changing shape, that changing dynamic as that happens.
Well, what's really interesting here, I think this is a case of the fact that we've had the top riders in category 3 progress to category 2, the top riders from category 4 progress to category 3, and now no one knows who is going to take this out. And actually, that's what's led, I think, to this very, very steady start, because they're all watching each other. No one knows who's going to take the lead. No one knows what's going to happen. So this is a steady ride. And if we could see all these riders, they'd have their little eyeballs out on stalks watching the entire race field and keeping a really close eye on what's going on.
And that's about keeping an eye on the data. It's about keeping an eye on that radar screen, watching on the right-hand side to see if we see any of the yellow or red chevrons that indicate the riders diving into the red zone, pushing down that extra power. Just keeping an eye on there. Now, a trigger point for a move, for maybe to put the pressure on for that attack could well be the dip and rise where we saw our riders go through. We saw Rios in category 4. And category 4 back on our screens on the right-hand side of your screen. So left-hand side category 3 in blue, right-hand side category 4 in red. And we've got the green skin suit awarded to Nicola Lloyd. So that isn't a rider who's moved through the categories. The skin suit, rather than the jersey, indicates the rider with the most points in that competition in their category.
Now, we talked really briefly a minute ago about category 4 and the team competition in the September final. Category 3, the team competition was won by 0.69 of a second.
0.69 of a second in the team competition between first and second.
It was a 6-rider sprint, and the difference between first and sixth was 1.1 seconds. So 2K3C had riders finish first, third, and fifth, and they took it from Team Road by less than a second in the points competition, in that team competition. So, you know, that was how close category 3 was before we saw the movement up from category 4 and those category 3 riders progress. So this, for me, really is about to determine what happens in this race. As we just watched Jenny Tan. Now, Jenny Tan has been in category 3 for some time now. She's seen what's happened before. She's seen those riders who have progressed, and she is now leading this out, and she put a little bit of a spurt in there just to stretch it a little bit, but she's sat back now and waited.
So as Jenny Turn is recalled by that group in Category 3 on the right of your screens, we're going to dive in with the riders on the left of your screen. In the green, it's Category 2. Another very similar size field. All the fields very similar today in terms of sizing, but again, more transition and more movement.
Yeah, definitely more movement. So Embring, Montoya, Kong, Walkenhurst and Hermansen, who have dominated Category 2 last month, have all progressed to Category 1. McAlpine has come up from Category 3, so has Gallego, so has Hadlock, and so has Kokkonen. So this is going to be really interesting. Tanya Holweller is in here, so is Gennady. Geraldo Montoya and Erica Botero are here. So this should be, well, they're all going to be a good race, but this is Category 2.
So Category 2 lined up, ready to go. New riders in. Some of our dominant riders out. Who's going to take this out? Will anybody dare to go from the start? The start critical. You don't want to lose the race here. You've got to be out and away very quickly indeed. And we're going to keep a check on those riders as they push on here. Pelagio just sitting in the back of this bunch. And it looks like she's just going to have to squeeze a little bit here. Tolosa doing the same. Gennady in there. A real mix of nations. And Kokkonen, a rider who has been yo-yoed up and down the categories as her form and as her speed has changed, as her performances have changed. A real good example, actually, of how reactive those categories are as people change their level of performance.
Yeah, so she was indeed a Category 2 rider some time ago, and then she stepped away from the Sunday Race Club and had other focus to her riding. She came back to the Sunday Race Club about 5 or 6 weeks ago and was slotted into Category 3 and has progressed through that category now back into Category 2 as her performances have moved on, as she has got back into racing on the platform, and it is great to see her back and part of the Sunday Race Club.
It is, and we'd love to see everybody when they're here. If you go away and come back, well, it does change somewhat quite often.
It does.
I think one of the things that we really should say is, if you rode on this platform 2 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, you're going to find it a very different platform, not just in terms of the graphics, the amazing scenery, the richness, the depth of the platform, also in terms of the feel and the improved dynamics in there, also in terms of how the ride is regulated and how the racing is regulated in terms of having that passport, the power passport, having the verification and the movement in there, continually involving very fast-paced change. So I'm sure for Novelin Kokkonen, as she's come back in, that it's changed, and the race feels changed because, of course, we get new riders all the time. So if you are new, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. It's great to have you.
And if you're here every week, it's great to see you again.
Do you know what? If you are here every week listening to everyone, I want to say a massive, massive thank you. I know we
feel sorry for you. No, we don't.
We do try to make every different show slightly different. That's aided by our riders massively. And I've got to say, it's an absolute pleasure putting words to the action. Anybody who follows us on social media or follows MyWhoosh on social media will know just how passionate the team are about bringing you this. And that's right from the guys who are behind the scenes doing the program and setting up the whole operations, right through to our keen people who are running the in-event games, right through to the production team behind the scenes, and Emma and myself, who get to put words to the action with the voice of the Sunday Race Club. And if you've listened to us on this or on any of the other things that we are bringing you action to from the UCI, the governing body of World Cycle Sport, or of course to things like the Crosscast, or you see us in real life at the events, please do come and say hi. I know we won't always say hi back because we might be live on air. Send us a message, give us a wave. We really, really do appreciate it. That's true of all the team. Everybody is very, very friendly, and if we don't look friendly, it's only because I'm concentrating, and my fake concentrating face is quite weird.
I was about to say something then, but then Matt just talked about his concentrating face being quite weird. You know, you could say, well, no, I'm not going to go there. But anyway, what I was going to say was what I am looking forward to is we are going to top the week off after the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club by heading out to watch a local hill climb. So we are also avid spectators of local cycling events as well. And that should round the week off nicely. So BMX for you, Matt, mountain biking, cyclocross, hill climb and esports. 5 different cycling disciplines all in 1 week.
Wow, no wonder I'm confused.com. Good job it is International Coffee Day.
Oh, I know. International Coffee Day completely well. Those riders needing their coffee, and I bet they're fueled up. And that is Category 1 because they are down on the start line with 50 seconds to go. So, Category 1 today, we've got those riders who have progressed from Category 2. 20 riders on the start sheets today wearing those yellow jerseys. This is going to be a good one. I really just do need to put my teeth in.
More coffee.
Yarhead, Colombi, Hermansen, Walkenhurst, Manshandi, Montoya, Embring, all in here. You know, this is going to be really interesting. And Lam Kong coming up as well.
I think this should be an absolute cracker. Category 1, the fastest of our race categories in the pens, lined up and ready to go. We're into those final few seconds.
We are indeed, and Engstrom is in this pack at the moment. She's the highlighted rider as the seconds tick down, and away go Category 1 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. This is the final category to leave the start pen in the women's race, and they swing up and round and across this iconic start to the race because this boardwalk over the water. Now, who wouldn't want to start a bike race this way?
I like a downhill start personally. It's true.
Oh,
it's true.
Me.
I like a downhill start, even on a hill climb. I have actually had a slightly downhill start on a hill climb once. It was very, very strange because on a hill climb in the UK, you don't get pushed off from the start either. They just let go. And if you're not ready to go, you're in trouble because basically you fall over. Nobody falling over though, because we of course are on esports. So the riders out are Category 1, the final category of the 4 to go from the start pens here live and heading out. Quick reminder for you, if you are watching the coverage back, don't forget we are on MyWhoosh live on Twitch TV, and this week we are doing a little bit of testing, a little bit of experimentation in terms of getting some data back in a real life race scenario. So we would suggest you watch on Twitch TV. It is coming out in full high def there. It's not compressed. And don't forget, of course, you can watch on YouTube. If you're watching after the effect, YouTube is going to be coming out in 4K. So that's going to be a big high resolution. You'll be able to see all these amazing graphics in all their glory and see why everybody just raves about how realistic it is riding through the worlds. And don't forget, of course, MyWhoosh is free. You can ride for free. There's no monthly subscription. You don't need to donate. There's no pressure on you to be part of somebody contributing to keep the thing going. This is for free. So basically, go online, go to mywhoosh.com, download the app, and that is for iOS, it's for Windows, it's for Android. Put it onto your machine. Make sure your machines hit those minimum specs. And that is about making sure that you can actually deal with all the graphics, that it's going to be accurate. Jump on board, head out for a ride, join us in the racing, but jump on board and basically enjoy the amazing graphics. 5 different worlds. We've got over 730 workouts. Don't forget, of course, we've got the Sunday Race Club and Tune Up Tuesdays, and lots of great rides as well, whatever category you're in. And great to see all these teams and more people putting on the rides for categories, whether you're in Category 1 or Category 4.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is Category 4, and 5 riders are clear now. 15 seconds up on the chasing group, so just clear. You can see that on that bottom left-hand screen. 2 groups now in this Category 4 race, separated by between 15 and 20 seconds. It's fluctuating a little bit here, and that's because this leading group are now on the first climb of the day. This is a Category 4 climb. It started 200 meters ago, and this group now pushing on the climb. You can see they're at 5.4%. This is at 9.7 kilometers into this 35 kilometer race, whereas on the left hand side of your screen we were watching Category 1 just coming out of the Ferrari showroom, and this is a tight group tapping away quite comfortably at the moment. We can tell that Yarhead at the moment, her heart rate 135, very comfortable at the moment, slightly ticking up though, and that's because they are about to come into this sprint segment, so just watching what the rest of the group are doing.
And this is really key for us to get an idea of how many riders are in that group, what's happening. We are seeing riders splitting off on the left-hand side, bottom left, your radar. basically shows you where the riders are on the course relative to each other and what is coming up for the riders. We can even see that they're about to start to head towards riders a little bit further up on the course. We can see a disc making its way around, so they're going to start catching riders at some point. We can see where they are relatively to each other, and of course we can see how far they've travelled, 2.3k. I've done 6 meters of elevation, currently traveling at 34 kilometers an hour. That's bottom left hand side. Center top is all of the data for mile in Bjarhead, so that is the watts. In white means that you are in the wind, white is in the wind, and green means you are good to go because you are in the draft and you are saving energy. The moving time, the traveling time on the center top of the screen, and we can bring you even more data because we can bring you the sprint results, and this is our snapshot. What is evident here is that as we came through the sprint, there are no yellow jerseys. And why would that be, Emma?
Well, because they were tapping along, taking it very easy.
They were saving energy,
They
being
were
smart,
indeed.
not going on the front, burning energy where it's not going to be rewarded. Remember, unlike the $1 million prize fund MyWhoosh Championships of 2023, where you were getting prizes and points for the sprints for the mountains competition, there isn't a prize here today on the Sunday Race Club for that, and that means that we use it as a snapshot, and that was very indicative. Categories 4, 3 and 2 represented, but not category 1 because they were taking it steady. Just to see that pace still, it's moving, don't get me wrong, it's 30 kph. However, for riders of this caliber, that is a relatively easy pace.
Well, the first Category 1 rider came through that sprint segment in 32nd place. So it does indeed tell you that pretty much the riders are tapping along. It was Nicola Lloyd setting the fastest time through there with Myra Madeira in 2. So both Category 4 riders. Now, what is interesting in the Category 1 race is Mina Koinstinen is in the race today. Now, Koinstinen took the win in the September final. In fact, she took her first win in Qualifier 3 in August on the Belgium course, which was the first time the women had ever raced the Belgium course on the Sunday Race Club. Fabulous to see her joining us today again, and a great win by her last week on the outer loop in Australia. Let's see if she can replicate that again on the Jebel Hafid today.
Well, this climb is a beastie at the end, but the aquarium climb, I mean, you talked about it earlier on, it is a tough climb in its own right. It could be decisive in terms of losing the race. It's rarely decisive in terms of winning the race, but with all these lumps and bumps, all these extra bits of terrain change, it means you've not really got anywhere to hide, because although the course profile looks relatively flat, it's not. It's a very rolling course in Arabia, and having ridden around here on MyWhoosh, it is very much the case that there's not very many places where you are actually able to settle into a rhythm for any length of time because of the continual change of elevation of gradient. And that makes a big difference, I think. And I think where we're going to see that is when the riders have come up from a category below. That is where it starts to get wearying, because you're having to do all of this that little bit faster, that little bit harder. And I think as a first course with a change, this is much harder than some of the courses where we have a very flat parkour and then a kick and then a really flat section, because it is so rolling.
Yeah, and that's often what we see when riders progress through the categories and they move up a category. We often see them being in the leading group for at least the first half of the race, because they're getting stuck in, they're trying to enhance their performance, they're trying to go with the faster riders with the new category that they're in. Where they often suffer is in the latter stages of the race, because as you mentioned, Matt, having that speed and that pace and that endurance to stay at that pace with the next category up is hard. We saw Brittany Lytton, for example, move, I think, 6 to 8 weeks ago from category 4 into category 3. And that's exactly what happened to Lytton. She took her time, she progressed, she learned how to race with the category 3 riders, and she was finally rewarded with a 5th place in the final last week in category 3. So fabulous to see her learning and understanding and progressing to ride and race competitively in the next category up.
So let's keep an eye on these riders as they make their way up this climb, category 3 on the aquarium climb. So here on the climb, you can see our sprint leader. That is Judy Castano, tucked in with the rest of Category 3 bunch. They are on that climb, making the way up. Category 1, of course, chasing all the rest of the race categories, Categories 2, 3, and 4. They are currently downtown. They're heading up towards their next banner with that UCI logo on top. Of course, MyWhoosh, the official esports partner, right the way through to 2026. But going into the Dubai Mall Sprint, it is Category 1. Let's see if they've picked the pace up, or will we see the fastest rider currently, which is Judy Castano, in Category 3, still at the top of the standings when this group have come through. I think she will be, personally, looking at that. That does not look like the pressure is on. 2.2, 2.1, 2.3 watts per kilo.
This Category 1 pack are having a steady start to this race today. They are 5 kilometres at the moment behind that Category 3 race. Now, let's remember Category 4 started 5 minutes in front of Category 3. So Category 1, the last riders to start on the Sunday Race Club today, more than 5 kilometres behind the leaders on the road at the moment.
It's a long way.
It is, isn't it? But it's a lot of climbing coming towards the latter stages of this race. Will we see them take the catch? Well, Judy Castano has indeed taken the sprint from Category 3. Andrea Ramirez in 2. Grace Paolo in 3, Madeira at 4, Lloyd 5th, Ospina 6th, Gill 7th, and Giuliano in 8th position. They are all from Category 4 and Category 3. Now, last time Category 1 went through, or the fastest rider from Category 1 went through in 32nd place. This time, it's 30th. Marcel Smithers goes through in 30th position in the sprint segment.
But look at the heart rate differences, and that's that.
Oh,
for me.
I know.
When you're looking at the heart rates across,
the pace might be the same,
yeah,
but
you can do this. You can go on and look at the data. It is on MyWhoosh.com. Hit results, and then you'll see live at the moment is the Women's Sunday Race Club Qualifier Race number 1. You'll be able to pick up the details. You can see 2 of our sprint leaders so far, Mario Madeira in there, and Judy Castano. Castano, of course, the fastest in that Category 3 competition. But at the moment, as we go into the aquarium climb and across the flat section, she is being dropped. Meanwhile, there are breaks and gaps all over the place in Category 4. You can see that on the left of your screen. Our leaders coming around the top. They're going to hit that polka dot banner. We have Joy Mayer up there. We have Madeira, we have Gill, and we have De Grazia. 4 riders in the race lead. Kirchner, Paolo, Rios, Lloyd, they are further back, and they have their work cut out because they have to squeeze now to get back on again. The pace will pick up on the front here. And in fact, our 3 leaders just opened a little bit of a gap on De Grazia as they came over the top there. That gap is opening to 3 seconds at the moment. And that means at the moment that Maria Gill, Myra Madeira, and Rona May Joymayer are opening the gap on Gina De Grazia and on Jacqueline Kirchner. Kirchner in 5th position at the moment, clear of that chasing bunch behind. So 5 riders, 5 prizes up for grabs, and we have 5 riders clear. Can they stay clear to take away the 5 prize spots? Well, we will have to see. At the moment, though, I tell you something, Myra Madeira is on some serious form here now. Dropping back to Category 2, they're just starting the Category 4 climb. Remember, this climb coming from 9.5 kilometers going to the 13-kilometer mark. So they're about 400 meters into this, nearly 500 meters now into this. That half a kilometer, it is pretty steep. It levels slightly, and then it kicks again, and then we have a longer, flatter landing section where the riders can pick up pace and start to really accelerate up. Will they be able to do that? Well, let's have a look. We've got Hadlock in here, Botero, Howila, Sanchez, Zabala. Really interesting to see how they're going.
Can I just pick you up on that? Did you just say a longer, flatter landing section?
Yes, landing. You mentioned, so if
They're
you're
like
going to
a spacecraft.
No, not like a spacecraft. This is not flipping spaceship, Star X, whatever. It's not Apollo 13. It is about a landing. So a landing in UK, if you are
you mean
here,
like a hallway
a
landing.
hallway landing. A landing on a stairway is basically when you go up the stairs and you haven't reached the next floor, but part way up there is a flat section where you maybe turn a corner. That's called a landing. Do we need to explain this to you? How long have you been speaking
of
English?
the English language, where words mean very different things.
Well,
just double checking your interpretation of
yes.
the words you're using. Okay, so whilst we confirm things in the studio here, category 2 are catching the back of the
I've had
category
my coffee, don't you
3
worry.
race field, and take a look at that. Novelink Coden is part and parcel of that leading group, and they are now starting to make their way underneath these tunnels and catching the riders who started ahead of them. And you can see that on the bottom left hand corner of your screen on that category 2 race. You can start to see the mix of green jerseys and blue jerseys on that small screen, and the red jerseys have literally just left the picture. So category 2 racing progressing well and pulling back in the other categories. On the category 3 race on the right hand side of your screen, that is the leading group, and it's still a significant size. They are about to see the red jerseys of the category 4 race. So Vink, Gentili, Ospina, Giuliano, Castano, Hinau, Alzat, the leading riders in this category 3 race, just up the road, those 2 little red dots ahead of them. They are about to make that catch.
And those are riders in the category 3 race. And we've got to remember, of course, that riders are at different points in their training, in their scheduling. You need to get 2 verified rides to qualify for the finals. So you have to get 2 rides in the qualifiers to go through to the finals. Real basic golden rule, get 2 qualifying rides in. But qualifying rides is not at the moment based about performance. It's about making sure that you have the equipment working and good to go, and that it's checked, and that all of your data and your personal data, as well as the riding data and the power, is correct. So you've got to get that in, but that doesn't mean you're necessarily going to be racing at the very front. And some riders will choose to take a steadier ride in the qualifiers, get one in the bank potentially on number 1, but still do a recovery week after having raced the finals hard, because you can't really go super hard week in, week out, every week of every month, can you, Emma?
Well,
can you, Emma?
No, you can't.
It's
very true. You absolutely can't. And we see riders on form putting in really good performances, and then we see them taking a much steadier week, and that is indeed. And we see them not racing some weeks, because it's 2 qualifiers to count to get you to that final, and it is part and parcel of the different race programs. And we see this time of year is traditionally, if you race on the road, it is indeed normally a recovery period.
Yeah, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, this is a period where you are having that transition. But if you're in mountain bike, well, it's still mountain bike season. World Cup's still happening. We have a member of the Full Speed Events team actually over in Canada prepping ready for the very final round of the Mountain Bike World Cup already. The hills there, actually not quite as big as the hills here, because going over the top of this climb, it's definitely a longer climb at 3.5 kilometers long. It is the Aquarian climb. It is category 3 over the top. And look at the pressure. This is smart riding. Who's putting the pressure on? It looks like it's going to be Giuliano. It's going to be Vink. Is Vink right at the front? I think it's Vink right at the front there. Really interesting move.
Well, you know what? When you move up a category, take it to them, because Ella Vink, well, she was absolutely dominant in the category 4 racing for the last few weeks, and that now is coming on to being a very bold and brave rider in this category 3 race. So Vink picking it up there, and she's the one who's digging in.
And it's a great tactic, to be honest, whether or not you are feeling aggressive or not. Ride at your pace on the climb. If your pace is faster, don't back off necessarily. Ride at a pace you're covering, because quite often it is. We've all done this. We've ridden with somebody who's slower, having a bad time, maybe had a puncture. We've had to stop. We've got somebody who's got a mechanical issue. You ride with them actually slower than your normal pace up a climb. It's actually so much harder. So setting the pace at the front she's controlling the pace. She's gone at a pace she wants to go at. She's not having it dictated to her
Well, and
by
also-
faster riders.
Also, what she's done is she's kicked in the last 1 or 2 seconds of the climb and gone up and over the top, and then she's continued to put on the power to gain momentum to go down. And that is what Ella Vink has done successfully. Take a look at her power in comparison to the others. So 3 watts per kilo at the moment, Castano 1.6 behind. So Castano is taking the opportunity for a micro rest in this race on this descent. Vink is using it as an opportunity to attack. That is what is really interesting, and we have seen the downhill attacks take a really key part and parcel of the racing. So Vink utilising the momentum, the rest of the race field behind taking a pause on that downhill. Now, which one will pay off in the long run?
Really interesting question, because mathematically, physics-wise, the power that you have to put down to get that gap on a downhill is much, much higher at higher speeds than it is on a climb to get the same sort of distance, space, time gap, etc. However, the reality of racing is it's a great tactical move, pushing over the top and down. It puts the others on the back foot. It makes them go in, and it's going to make a few people sit up and go, ooh, okay. And that's not a bad thing. I'm all for people playing mind games and putting the pressure on. Angel Hadlock here, 3.9 watts per kilo. She's on the front in category 2. Keeping them all on their toes. Here's Giannetti, Zabala, Botero. We've got Kokona, Gallego still all in contention, all just chasing, but the pressure is on, and this is that run over the top. Category 1 are on the left of your screen. They're just about to come onto that landing, that little platform part way up where it levels out, but over the top of the climb go Category 2, and at the moment, this is where that little bit of pressure from Vink had opened up the gap.
Yeah,
and now look at this.
A kick from Kokkonen there as well. So these riders making sure they're not backing off the pace. They are about to start to come on to the back of more riders in front. But Holweller is here, Gallego, Jose Zabala, Garcia, Hadlock is in here, Lopez, Barco, Pelagio. This is a strong group of Category 2 riders, and it's a big group of Category 2 riders. I think that's about 11 or 12 riders in there.
Now, that is a big group, and in the middle of it, you can see that we've got the polka dot skin suit. That's Stefania Sanchez in the classic mountain climbers skin suit. We've got the green skin suit in the mix as well. So the leading riders in terms of category. So Cecilia Garcia in the green skin suit in the sprints, Stefania Sanchez in the polka dot in the climbs, right up with the leading riders in category 2 over the top. This group has not broken up though. Nobody putting in a decisive move that has taken them clear, but the pressure is still definitely on in front. I'm seeing 4s, 4.5 a watt per kilo, just being kicked out by 1 or 2 of these riders, sometimes to get back in. I've just seen, I think from Botero, over 5 watts per kilo, just Erica Botero here, not wanting to be distant, sprints back onto the back of the group. I think that momentum is going to carry her pretty much to the front. She eases off, but this is where, by putting the pressure on, you're making people work, you're making them expend energy, and we've all got a finite reserve. No matter how many gels and energy bars and fuel on board your bottle you shovel on board, at some point you're going to run out.
Well, the furnace taking the coal, the rider taking the energy.
Yeah, okay.
Well, shoveling on board, I'm trying to go with your links, but it doesn't really work sometimes.
Not in the modern world. Maybe in the old days of steam trains, maybe, you know, that kind of work.
The studio we are in at the moment,
solar powered.
Absolutely slap bang in the middle of the old
Yorkshire
coal mining area.
We are indeed, yes, but we are actually we are very green in this studio, you know. This is 100% renewable energy sourced studio.
Well,
very proud of that.
Well,
tell you. We use a lot of energy, not just me and Emma, but also with all the kit too. Right, back to the racing. Category 4, Road Joy Mayer with the gap. 9 seconds on the rest of the riders who were at the front with her. Myra Madera and Maria Gill. She's using this climb out from the tunnels, out on to this next bump. And this is why this terrain is so tough, because you do not have that flat section. You can see the mountains in the distance. You can see that when we go up onto the Jebel Hafit, we have got a huge climb coming up. However, in comparison, This climb is short,
Wow.
but it does damage.
This Category 4 race field has been absolutely split apart, and they're not even at 20 kilometres into this 35-kilometre race yet. They've still got that Category 1 climb to go. So Rona May Joy Mare now 10 seconds ahead of Gill and Madeira. Then De Gracia is 46 seconds back on that. Kirchner over a minute now. And the rest of the Category 4 race field around 2 minutes back on Mare. So Rona May Joy Mare absolutely taking it to this course today, as she's still got 15.7 kilometres to go.
And such similar tactics between Ella Vink at the lead of Category 3, Rona May Joy Mare at the lead of Category 4. Categories 2 and 1, though, still together, but remember, they're further back down the course. And it's great to see such aggressive racing at the moment from Categories 3 and 4. Category 1, I'm not going to use the C word. That is cagey. That was last month's word. That's the only time it's going to be mentioned in the entirety of October, honest Gov, because that very much summed up September. We are seeing very, very careful riding. That's today's C word. Careful riding on the way up here by Category 1. Not to expend too much energy. Use it where you need it. And I have often been quoted as saying the category riders who are just starting out, and that could be our youth or junior categories in some of our race disciplines, it's our categories 3 and 4, generally are a little bit more speculative in their attacks. They're a little bit more gung-ho. That's a very UK anglicised phrase, gung-ho. They're very much more a case where they are prepared to take a risk, and because you're learning your trade, and also I think because there's often less at stake, to be brutally honest. You know, if I'm riding in a Category 3-4 race, I might win a bag of sweets, whereas or candy if you're American. Whereas if you are racing at top flight and you're in Category 1, you're going to be winning a lot more prizes.
Well, I don't know whether the level of risk determines the level of bravery in our riders, but today this Category 1 race is definitely on a steadier plane than any of the others, because this pack are rolling, but they're rolling very, very comfortably. And take a look at the size of this group: 3, 6, 9, 12, 14. I think that's 14, 15 riders in there at the moment. So a large group of Category 1 riders at the front of this race. But take a look at that. That is the Aquarium climb. They are just up and over it. Amina Coinston is indeed the rider setting the fastest time up there, 7 minutes 30 seconds. Gonzalez, Rua, Embring, Tocanis, Walkenhurst, Biarhead, Hermansen and Colombi. That is the pack of Category 1 riders, or at least 8 in that pack of Category 1 riders. It is indeed 14 riders in total, all going through very, very closely packed together.
So really interesting to see. It looks like Category 1 just starting to wake up now as they make their way in. Great to see the action starting to unfold a little bit with them. I'm going to be very interested to see what they do as they make their way into the finish. They should be the fastest. In theory, all these groups will come together, but we will see. Remember, of course, Category 4 are the riders who are currently at 21.2k, Category 3 at 18.6 kilometers, 17.5 Category 2, and Category 1 at 14.7k, which by my reckoning means that this is going to be interesting for the catch. My maths in my head, which everybody around the world knows is dangerous, basically says Category 1 are going to have their work cut out to catch all the riders today.
Yeah, I think they are, but I do think Category 2 may well catch Category 3, because those are the two closest groups at the moment. And what that tells me is Category 4 have really pushed on. We've seen that race field decimate, and we've seen the 3 leading riders now come back together. So Rona May Joy Mare, joined by Myra Madeira and Maria Gill, to form a leading group of 3. We've got Ella Vink out on her own in Category 3. Category 2 are actually moving very strongly, but they're moving strongly as a group. So I think we're going to see the catch between 2 and 3. Category 1, well, we know they are moving steady because there's still 14 riders in that leading group.
There are indeed, and we've been talking about, of course, the differences in the riders. Remember, of course, they're all racing for their individual category positions and their individual prize money. And that individual prize money is really, really key here in qualifying. It steps up from categories 4 to 3 to 2 to 1. So the top prize in category 4, 2,160 AED. The fifth place is 432 AED. So that is the UAE dirham. Now, when we go up to category 3, we move up. As you can see, what was the first prize moves into the mid-table. It's then 3,600 for first, 720 for fifth. Of course, no team's classification until we reach the finals here on the Sunday Race Club. Category 3 to 2 is a step up again. So the 3,600 moves mid-table down into third position for category 2. So a win in category 3 is equivalent of third in category 2. 6,000 AED for the win, 1,200 AED for fifth. And of course, when we move from category 2 to category 1, it jumps up again. So again, the 6,000 AED now jumping mid-table, third place, 2,000 for fifth, 4,000 for fourth, 6,000 AED for third, 8,000 AED for second, and 10,000 AED for the win in category 1. Big numbers, big prizes, and we have riders from around the world. So if you've been watching, you will know that we try and work our way steadily around the globe. Well, not so steadily. We do return to some spots now and then when we can't remember exactly which ones we've done. We haven't actually got a list in front of us of where we're heading next. This is on the spur of the moment. It's in real time. Emma, where are we heading today for an alternative take on what the top prize is?
Well, I am celebrating today Lam Kong moving from category 2 to category 1 with Hong Kong dollars.
Okay.
So 10,000 AED, the first prize in category 1 today, 21,320 Hong Kong dollars should Lam Kong win the prize today.
That is big. That is big, isn't it?
Well, it's actually the same. But yes.
No, but yeah, it's big. I think that's really, really big. And I think that's really telling as well that we've got so many riders from around the world. We are actually having to find Hong Kong dollars, Colombian pesos, dinar. We're finding euros. We're finding, everything around the globe, different currencies, because we've got so many different riders.
Well,
it's great
to see.
Indeed
great to have riders from all continents around the globe, and indeed riders from everywhere. And let's just bear in mind that our riders may all be riding on the same platform. They are all around the world in all different time zones. So for some of our riders, it's very, very early in the morning or very, very late at night, depending upon which way you look at this. Others, it might be lunchtime. Others, it might be early evening. So whatever time of the day you have joined us to race, thank you very much for being here and bringing us the action, because we just love to watch what is going on. And what's going on at the moment is the category 1 race in front of you. We're in with Lam Kong from Hong Kong. Julia Walkenhurst is here. Kate Tridden is here. Dorothy Gonzalez is here. Walkenhurst has also moved up along with Hermansen, our European contingent. In fact, they were indeed Team Europe in category 2 last week. They took the win by 5 minutes 51 seconds. That shows you how dominant that group of women were in category 2. So strong racers moving up to category 1, and they are part and parcel of this leading group at the moment.
It's looking really interesting, isn't it? The riders who are moving up and doing a great job, riders who are settling in, riders who are moving down. I think I love that different change in riders, but the way that then plays out, the stretching, the breaking of groups, the riders being pushed backwards, really, really telling. Just keeping a look here on Anna Embring. Embring's heart rate at the moment, 160 beats per minute. That's pushing on.
Yeah, I think it is pushing on, but it's still, I think, a steady pace. So I think we're going to see her push on more on that final climb today. Now, one of the things to note for our viewers is heart rates are very, very individual, and some riders, you know, may well have a maximum heart rate of around 165 or 166. For others, 201. So it is very, very individual, and you cannot compare each other heart rates. You can only compare an individual's heart rate with an individual's heart rate, if you get my meaning. So that is what it will tell you. But you do then need to know, for example, what the heart rates are of these individuals when they cross the finishing line at a maximum effort, to be able to judge what level they are racing at the moment. Now, this category 1 leading pack, 18.3 kilometers now into this race. They are pushing on at the moment, and you can just see on that top right-hand screen on this flat section before that little kicker as they come through the Silent Dunes sprint. And in fact, that is the completion of the Silent Dunes sprint, and it's Barco setting the fastest time through there, 30 seconds, 30.8. Gallego, Kukkonen, Zabala, all Category 2 riders. Carolina Alzat from Category 3, then Selena Columbi from Category 1. So a real mixed picture at this point in the race. But take a look at that. All of those groups riding at around 3.5 watts per kilo through there.
And one thing that's really interesting, because that sprint is on the way out, so you do the aquarium climb, you drop down into the depression at the bottom, and you then have to climb back out again. So you almost descend even lower than you were to start off with at the start of the race. You then climb back out, and that is part way up that ascent out, sort of the final uphill stretch before we go on to the roll across to the final climb. So it's a very interesting spot in the race. Now, 3 leaders in Category 4 here. They're a long way past that. They're about to hit this final climb. You can see the polka dot banner on its way. This is our Category 1 climb. That is our final climb of the day. The polka dot banner, the universal symbol pretty much for hitting the climbs. We've even got a coffee cup with polka dots on it, haven't we?
We do. It is indeed International Coffee Day today.
Is it really?
I did indeed have to get that in there.
Again. So as we go on to the climb, it might get repeated several times yet in the show. We do warn you. So the riders are on the way up on to the climb. The riders making their way into the ascent of the Jebel Hafit, a climb I want to go do in real life. It's on my bucket list. I have a number. The Stelvio's on there. I want to go up the Stelvio. Haven't been up the Stelvio. Really fancy that. And I would like to go up the Jebel Hafit. It's another climb that I think would just be amazing, because it's so different to so many of the other climbs that you do.
Just 2 on your bucket list that you haven't done?
There's limited climbs. There's a lot more downhills than there is climbs.
Ah, well, there we go.
They're 2 very different ones, I think. There's one in Norway as well, out of the side of a fjord, which climbs its way up with so many hairpins. So that's probably a 3rd, because that's going to be like basically covered in snow for like half the year, and cold and wet, and yeah.
Okay.
Very different.
Okay, so the Jebel Hafit today, which is where these Category 4 riders are, 3 riders going in at the front of this Category 4 race. They're currently the leaders on the road. So 9.5 kilometers with an average gradient of 7%. But you can see on that top right-hand corner on the graphic giving you the climb at the moment, it does kick and then level, and then it does have these little stepped sections further up the climb as well. So currently at around 7.5%, this very first kicker does indeed go to 10% or more, and you can see it now going skywards, 10.2, 10.4, 10.6, 10.7. So it is indeed kicking at the moment. It will then level out. In fact, it does actually drop to a negative 2% for a slight bit of recovery before it kicks again. Now, one of the steeper sections on this is just before the halfway point. It will indeed get to over 13% gradient underneath the wheels of these riders.
Sorry, I was just going la 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 in my head, apart from the -2%, because I don't really want to hear about all that uphill. It's the last thing I want to hear when I'm climbing up a hill is how much you've got in front of you. But then again, that's because generally I don't like long uphill climbs. Give me a sprint every time.
Well, Rona May Joy Mare obviously likes a long
She does.
uphill
Look at
climb
this.
because she is going early on this Category 1 climb.
But remember, of course, the Aquarian climb, she showed her colours.
She did.
She pushed on hard there, and this is really telling. So Category 4 climbing well here with Rona May Joy Mare, then Maria Gill, Maya Madeira, Gina Di Grazia, and you can see the speed pick up there as she goes into this section. As Emma said, you go in, there's over 40 kph on this slight downhill section. That really changes the rhythm, and that is like, so if here's another analogy, we're going to use that word landing again. So a bit like, so if you haven't ridden and been up a climb like that outdoors or on the platform, but you do, because a lot of people will go running up the stairs. If you run up the stairs, you sprint up them, you reach the landing, the flat section part way up, then you sprint up the next section. You know what that does to your legs when you sprint up. It levels and it goes up again. That change is very, very tough, particularly when you're racing flat out. Let's see if it's going to affect all our riders the same.
Well, Ella Vink at the moment is the current rider leading this Category 3 race, and she's coming into the base of the Jebel Hafit. She'll be the first Category 3 rider to hit that landing, and let's wonder whether it'll make her legs turn to jelly or whether it'll give her a bit of recovery and allow her to push on again. She is now just gone past Nicola Lloyd, one of the Category 4 riders. She's got 50 seconds on Ospina, Hinau, Castano and Gentili. They are part and parcel of the chasing Category 3 field. So Ella Vink absolutely nailing her climbing colours to the mast. Can she hold this now all the way to the finish line? She's got 9.8 kilometres to go.
Well, this is going to be tough stuff. This is the climb banner coming up. Vink, though, was very strong. She's come out from that Category 4 to Category 3. She can see people in front of her who she has raced before. But remember that Category 3 settled 5 minutes behind Category 4. But they keep on moving. They keep on pushing. Let's watch as she hits this climb. Keep an eye on that heart rate. So here we go, that heart rate still sitting 162, 50 minutes of racing on the clock. We've got 35k to do. We've got 25.5k underneath the wheels for Ella Vink. She's going to be working her way up through. She's gone past Nicola Lloyd in Category 4, so catching Lloyd now moving her way up here. She's got what is 7 riders on the road in front, so Vink working hard, but the Category 4 leader, Rona May Joy Mare, is a very strong climber and is continuing to push behind. Remember, Categories 2 and 1 are also chasing.
And this is where I think that bottom left-hand graphic, it really starts coming into its own as we get into the latter stages of this race. This is the front of the Category 2 race field. They are pushing on. They are about to come into that climb. And you can see on that bottom left-hand screen, the Category 3 and Category 4 riders further up the mountain. Category 2 are motoring as a tight group at the moment. So 7 riders in this leading group of Category 2. They are about to go skywards and they are chasing Category 3 and Category 4 up the mountain.
I've just noticed something on the graphic on the bottom left as you pointed it out there, Emma. As you come on the way in here, there is a right-hand turn.
There is.
How tempting, if you're just out riding, is this right-hand turn that just goes off here? Like, you see, just I'd be going along, please send me right, please send me right. But no, they're going on
Straight
to the climb.
up.
So there we go, no right-hand turn. If you're out riding in the world in Arabia, you can turn right, don't worry. It doesn't force you up the Jebel Hafit. You can go on to this climb. It is iconic in the UAE Tour, both for the men's and women's race fields. It is often decisive in that race because of the time gaps generated, and the replication here on MyWhoosh is quite scary, to be brutally honest. It's very, very true to life. If you watch the footage back, do have a watch. Even better, head out to the UAE and watch the racing in person. It is brilliant to see, and this climb is an amazing climb. I think we could have a look at that in a little bit more detail in terms of that profile, because the course profile really does show why it is tough. It is a long climb, isn't it, Emma?
It is indeed 9.5 kilometres long, average gradient 7%. And as we mentioned, it kicks and it flats, and you can really see that on the profile there of this category 1 climb. Covered in red at the moment, you can see that early little kicker around the 25.4 kilometre mark with the flat section, then another kick, then a long drag before it kicks and flats, all the way to the top. And indeed, that second section of kicking before that second flat is where it is the steepest in total, over 13% on this climb. And now take a look at the top. It is a little bit easier gradient as we move towards the top, but don't think it's easy till the checkered flag, because it kicks again and gets really steep towards the end of this climb.
It does, and I think this climb, the way that it breaks the rhythm, it does give a chance for climbers and riders of any type, because if you are a power sprinty rider, you can push on the steep sections and rest on the flat sections. If you're a climber, you can attack on some of those steeper sections and then maybe just shelter behind it. If you're a sort of, a good all-rounder, I think you've got a good mix here. Don't get me wrong, irrespective of what category, it's going to be tough because you are racing against people of a similar ability. But as you can see from the graphic on the screen, the course profile, it dominates this course. And if our riders thought the Aquarium climb was a tough climb, this is much tougher. Our riders out on the course, let's see where they've got to on that course profile. So the furthest riders along the climb, it's Rhoda May Joy Mayer. She's currently at 27.6k, 26.5, so 1.1k behind is Ella Vink. She's chasing behind in category 3. In category 2, well, they are at 26.2k, so they are only about 300 meters now, nearly 200 meters behind Ella Vink. So it looks to me like the leading group of category 2 are likely to catch Vink, and probably they've got a chance of catching up with Rhoda May Joy Mayer. The riders with the most work to do, that is the riders in category 1. They're at 24.6, and as a reminder, that is not yet even onto the climb.
Well, it's not. They're 3.1 kilometres behind the leader on the road at the moment. But I think they've been playing their cards, because look at that heart rate of Embring, 132. They have taken it so steady, that leading group in category 1. I think it's going to light the fire beneath them when they get to the bottom of the climb.
Hope it's a big fire.
Well, we're going to see whether it explodes in category 1 as we watch category 2 continue to tap up the mountain, and the pace they're moving at is allowing them to catch this group of category 3 riders. Now, Ella Vink is up the road in category 3, but this is the chase group, and category 2 are about to come up onto their wheels. Now, how many of these category 3 riders can jump in?
It's jumping in, it's not being caught out, and it's also the same for category 2, because when you're a category 2 rider and you're just hanging on, if the group in front get a little bit of assistance, so basically you're riding at the back of the group, if the front of the group gets some assistance by jumping through the next big group on the road, that brings their pace higher, and you might have been right on the limit. You couldn't afford to go another 0.1 of a k quicker, and that draft effect does that, and that can be enough to break your hold on that group. That is really critical. So now we see those green jerseys moving up on to the back of the blue jerseys. There's got a red jersey in front, this multicolor range of riders coming in through the trees here around this right hand bend here. But look at the bottom left hand side of your screen. That is a great graphic. It shows you just where everybody is.
It does indeed, and the category 3 and category 2 riders coming together to form a group of 13 riders on the road, catching that red jersey of the category 4 rider. That's 14 riders, but I think that red jersey is going to go right the way through and possibly out the back. If they can hang on, it is going to be an amazing effort. But the push is now coming as the green jerseys try and push towards the front of the group. In fact, Tanya Holweiler is the rider. She's kicking at 6.5 watts per kilo to ensure she gets through that category 3 bunch. So putting in a really big dig, Holweiler ensuring she gets through the bunch and to the front. Alzat is trying to hang on. That is the Category 3 rider currently leading the group, but Ospina and Ramirez is there as well as Castano. And this pace, I think, is too high for these Category 3 riders
Emma,
to hang on.
You just summed that. That's so accurate. Look at Ospina and Ramirez here. They're pushing this
so hard.
Oh, the legs are going to be screaming. And what a place to get caught. You're on one of the steeper sections. You're at 7-8% here. That is when it's going to hurt. You know what that feels like. We've all been there. We've got caught by a better climber on the climb, and they're on the way through, and you're trying to hang on as long as possible without blowing up, and that's key.
And that is absolutely key, because the longer you can hang on, the better of a tow you're going to get. And don't forget, Vink is down the road leading this Category 3 race. Now, the issue and the challenge is there's still, I'm looking at that, 5, 6, 7, 7.9 kilometers to go. So what you really don't want to do is you've got to balance pushing on to stay with the group to get a gap on the riders behind you with still being able to race for the distance to the finish line. So there is a real dilemma here, but actually there's a real benefit for trying, and these Category 3 riders really are trying at the moment. They're trying to stay with these Category 2 riders, Holweller, Hadlock, Botero and Sanchez pushing on at the moment. Vink is now only 35 seconds up the road, so they are towing the Category 3 riders up to the Category 3 leader at the moment, whilst they fight for the Category 2 win.
And as you can see, our Category 3 leader, that's Ella Vink, the rider on the right of your screens. We're looking back for Vink. We're waiting to see the riders come up to her. And you can see on the clocks at the top of the screen, the distance is 200 meters. And remember, we only go to the nearest 100 meters, so it could well be less than that as well. And this is the result. The group's coming together. It adds a different dynamic to the racing. This is what happens when you have effectively a handicap race, where you have the riders at the back, the fastest riders, setting off last, catching riders on the way through, and just like you would find outside, they sweep up the riders, and it does change the dynamics. Very interesting tactics, and it makes people think, and that's one of the great things. I love races where you've got to think what you're doing, where you've got to think about where you are positioned, how you use your strengths, where you hide your weaknesses, where you attack the riders, where you know you're going to be able to make a difference. One rider who really needs to be smart about this, because she could be in with a really big win here, is Celine Columbi, the rider we're sitting with at the moment. A rider who I keep on thinking we're going to see right up there. We're going to see right in the mix. Do you know who she reminds me of a little bit? Of Chiara Donny. Very much so. Chiara Donny racing as a stagiaire on the Jayco Alula squad in the women's race, but a very similar, great, when the race goes uphill, she goes really, really well. And congratulations to Chiara, one of our riders on the Sunday MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club regular rider. And great to see she's progressing as well. It's not just through categories here, it's through categories in the world of professional cycling.
Well, 8 riders in this leading group in this Category 1 race at the moment, and they are continuing to push on up this mountain. They're still in the early stages of the climb, and they are tapping away quite nicely altogether, picking up riders as they go through. So this was a group of 14 riders. It's now down to a group of 8 as they progress up the mountain. Now, on that bottom left-hand corner of your screen, you can indeed see 2 different groups of yellow riders separated by green jerseys, red jerseys, blue jerseys on there. This is now all coming together, this race, and this view right at the moment shows you the mountain, it shows you the climb, and it shows you where all of our categories are at the moment.
And the furthest dot up that screen, the one red dot up at the front, is Rhoda May Joy Mayer. She does have riders behind her in her own category. Then it is the chase that is coming from the leader in Category 3. That is going to be Vink. But they are now starting to show on the radar screens. Massive flyer just being taken. That was a big move back on. Somebody, who was that who just got dropped off? Did you see, was that Engstrom coming through?
No, I don't think that was Engstrom coming through.
That was
That
Massive
was a big
kick.
kick, wasn't it? It was indeed.
It
So
was.
Biarhead is here, Engstrom is here, Hermansen, Columbi, Gonzalez, Ruhr was the rider who put the kick in.
Right.
Manshandi is there as well, or nobody wanting to get dropped from this group. Matt, who's your call from this leading bunch on this Category 1 race?
Thanks, Emma.
I thought I'd get in before you asked me.
Yeah, you're ahead. It's so wide open this week. I think, personally, so difficult. I tell you what, I'm going to go. I'm going to go. Let's see if Celine Columbi can do it this week. I would be very interested to see if she can actually take this to the win. It's where my heart is saying. It's not necessarily what my head is saying. My head is saying it could well be the day where we see Dagan Mashandi being right up there. But
really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I'm going a bit wild card.
Well, I'll tell you one person who will have an opinion on this, and this will be Catherine Fuhr, and I wonder whether she is watching today. I know she is back on the bike. I've seen her on social media turning her legs over on a turbo trainer after her operation. So hoping you are recovering well. Catherine, we're looking forward to having you back here. I'm wondering who your call is to win this Category 1 race today.
So if you're watching live, Catherine, don't forget, get in touch at Biking Emma. For Emma on the various social media, it's Matt Fixpain. For myself, it's MyWhoosh on Instagram and on Facebook, and it's my_whoosh on X or Twitter if you're old school and can remember that long ago. So please do get in touch, whether you're Catherine Fuhr recovering from your operation or you are just watching. Let us know what you're up to. If you're watching this back, don't forget, of course, that we go out on the Twitch TV, that is MyWhoosh Live, and on YouTube as well. There's a few other platforms it heads out on as well. Keep your eyes peeled on there. Give us a subscribe. Give us a follow and make sure that you catch up with what everybody's up to. We do try and follow everybody who follows us back, certainly from Full Speed Events. That's myself and Emma. So please do get in touch. Let us know what you're up to. We are seriously addicted, I think. Hello, my name's Matt, and I'm addicted
to coffee.
To cycling, and cycling in all forms. And I love to see what you're up to doing that. So please do. It's similar to but not coffee, cycling, definitely. Right, Ella Vink is the rider we're watching. She has been caught by the Category 2 leaders and looking to see where the nearest blue jersey is. It's behind you. It is indeed as well, because the jersey that is coming up there is a blue jersey, and it looks like it's a Spina who is the nearest rider now. She's still at 6-7 seconds. Looks like Alzate is about 12-13 seconds behind. So trying to stay with the group has worked for the chasers. Will it work for Ella Vink? She is tucked in here. We've got the Category 2 polka dot skin suit of Sanchez. She's got the black helmet on with a yellow helmet and gloves, as the attire being worn by the Category 3 polka dot skin suit of Ella Vink. And Vink now really pushing in to try and stay clear, but a Spina is behind. That gap now down to about 4-5 seconds. Spina is putting in some work here. She's tapping out a rhythm. You notice that she's not kicking a very variable rev range, so the cadence is staying very consistent. She's sitting at a pace and holding it. Alzate has pushed to get on to the wheel of a Spina, and it could well be that Carolina Alzate and Athela Spina are the two riders that, if they work together, can pull back Ella Vink. Vink needs to try and hold on to the tail coats of the group in front. That is going to be her mission, to stay with the Category 2 leaders as long as possible. Meanwhile, in front of all of them, we still got the Category 4 leaders on the road already.
They do indeed. So this race really starting to hot up now as we see the climb going on. Around those bends go the riders, and what a mix of colours. It's like a rainbow riding up this mountain at the moment, as we are in with the Category 1 riders, and it is indeed Columbi pushing on at the front. Biarhead is not letting her go. Mina Coinston, the rider who won September's final, absolutely covering the moves at the moment, but not making a move of her own just yet, because we've still got some distance to go. Cornelia Engstrom is in here too. Gonzalez Rua has hung on and she's kept digging and she's stayed in there, but we're starting to see Engstrom getting distance a little bit now as the pace hots up. Columbia is pushing. She's pushing around 5 watts per kilo at the front there. Coinston's going with her 5.4. Manshandi is the rider trying to push across. These riders now know that this is an important part of this race for this category 1 leading at Coinston and Columbia. These were 2 riders, I think, who have got it dialed today, are the riders pushing on. Manshandi bringing Bjarhead and Enstrom back up. This is looking like it's going from 7 to 5. 5 riders now as they push. It's 13.3% at the moment. This is the steep part of this climb. This is where the damage is being done. They have just got to hang in there because the gradient will give them some relief shortly.
You think so? You think it's going to give the gradient might, but these riders are not giving themselves any kind of relief. Here they are pushing on. Now, I said earlier on in the show that Category 1 had their work cut out to catch the leader on the road overall, and that is 100% true. This is Rhoda May Joy Mayer up at the front of the race on the right-hand side of your screen. Left-hand side is the Category 1 leaders, Coiston and Columbia. Dega Mashandi, 2 of my picks in the top 3. I'll take that at the moment. Maybe we should stop the race here. No, let's not do that. As we make our way up the climb. So, right-hand side, Rhoda May Joy Mayer is continuing to tick onwards. She has got minutes, literally minutes, on the riders behind her. She did that by breaking away early on the climb and using the full distance of the climb to her advantage. However, behind, this is getting very, very tactical. It's getting very, very tasty indeed. This was a meal. We are in a full-on 5-star restaurant, a full-on Michelin-starred meal, because this is packed full of flavour. It's tasty, it's got the texture, it's got the climbs, it's got the aesthetics, it looks great. It's got lots of action. It's going to explode in your ears and on your screens, if not your taste buds.
Don't know if this is Gordon Ramsay or Jamie Oliver at the moment, but Coiston is motoring up this mountain. Columbia is there as well, and Bjarhead, well, she is hanging in there too. So is Manshandi. And Manshandi just jumping onto the back of that. So 5 riders now, because Engstrom is there too. They are up and over the steepest part of this climb now. So that is it done and dusted. 5 riders in this leading Category 1 group. They are at 29.5 kilometres into this 35-kilometre race. 300 metres up the road are the leaders in the Category 2 race. Ginati, Howella, Botero, Hadlock, Stefania Sanchez is there as well. This is getting really interesting.
It is indeed. And who has gone on the offensive in Category 1? Celine Colombi has gone on the attack now. She's at 6.5 watts per kilo. The Italian is on the climb here. Her countrywoman Donny would be good at this point, and it's exactly the same here. Columbia at the moment pushing. Coiston is responding, and Coiston now digging deep. She's gone into those yellow chevrons. Coiston trying to close the gap down. Now comes Madonna Dega Mashandi with that red helmet on, chasing the polka dot skin suit of Coiston. Up in front with the white helmet on in that yellow jersey. That is Columbia. Engstrom, Bjarhead now starting to lose a little bit of ground here, but we have lots more road to go to. We have lots more of ascending. We are still not at 30k. It's coming, but we still have over 5 kilometres to go.
Well, this is a switch on last week because Coiston took the win in the September final in Category 1. Columbia was 2, Bjarhead 3, Manshandi 4. Engstrom is in the mix still, just she's 4 seconds shy. Bjarhead is just 6 seconds back, but it's looking now like it is Columbia who is pushing on. She's ahead now of Coiston. You can just see her in the distance there, up past that red jersey of Gina De Gracia. So Columbia in 1, Coiston in 2, Manshandi in 3, Bjarhead in 4, Engstrom in 5. As they continue to climb this mountain, they've got 5 kilometres to go now. in this Category 1 race. And take a look at who's in front of them. So on that bottom left-hand side of your screen, take a look. They've gone all the way through those blue jerseys. There's green jerseys up ahead still to take. Those are the leaders in the Category 2 race. Take a look. Here we are. If they could turn their heads over their shoulders, they would see them coming. And there are Category 4 riders further up the mountain. But, well, I think that's got to be one of the best cycling hats at the moment around. And that is being worn by Tanya Holweiler with those yellow gloves and the yellow bike. She is sat second wheel to Botero, but there are Giannatti and Hadlock are up the road.
They are, and this is going to be very telling now, whether they can pull this gap back down, whether they need to use the fast approaching Category 1 leader, Celine Colombi, who's got 7 seconds on Coyston. Now, really interesting, 20 seconds separates first to fifth in Category 1 with 5 kilometers to go. There is still a lot of racing left. 5k of 35 kilometers, and it's uphill, all to be raced, and we are seeing the groups come together now. Colombi is coming in quick here. She's coming in hot. She's catching on this slope, and I don't think riders are going to be able to latch on here unless they put a massive dig in. So Colombi moves up on to the wheel of Stefania Sanchez. She goes past Sanchez. She goes past that group. She took a little bit of assistance there. Koistonen is coming fast as well behind, and Koistonen is continuing to kick to try and use the draft there to come through. But Colombi at the moment, look at that pedal cadence, 74. I like a good pedaler. Makes a big difference.
Well, whilst the cadence of Colombi is still strong, strong too is Koistonen doing the chasing. I think that's going to be a battle royal between those two right the way to the finish. Well, the woman who is leading on the road at the moment, she's at 31.2 kilometers. It is Roname Joy Mare. She has put that gap in that Category 4 race. Maria Gill is 3 minutes down the road. In fact, Gill has just been caught by Colombi in the Category 1 race. So Mare is the rider leading the race at the moment. Colombi, the rider leading Category 1, is now P2 on the road. Koistonen P3. So Mare, our Category 4 rider, how long can she stay out?
I think it is a case of how long rather than will she be there at the finish. Colombi has to keep this pace, and I think this race between Colombi and Koistonen for the race win really is pushing the pace up, and it's going to hold it. You can see Colombi here. She's trying to hold a seriously scary pace up here. She needs to keep kicking. She needs to keep the pace on. She needs to keep those revs up as well. If they start dropping down, she's got to use those gears to be able to push on. We're at a steep section here, over 12% here, now over 13%, and this is where on that right hand turn it can really do the damage. If you go too hard and you slow off those revs too much, you are basically weight training. You're not using your fitness and your speed and your souplesse in making it happen. You're using a weight training. You're just forcing those pedals around, and that is damaging. You can only do it for so long, and it slows you down. You can't pick the pace back up again when the terrain changes as quick, so you've got to keep the revs up there. Look at that, 76 for Columbia. She comes up here, 60 for Mayer. That's the cadence between these two riders. You look at the speed difference, very little to choose between them, but Columbia is on something twice as steep.
Yeah, I know, and at the moment it is really interesting to watch, isn't it? Because the response of the cadence and pedalling is absolutely key. And you know,
same gradient now. Sorry, Emma. 9 kilometers an hour, 17 kilometers an hour. Go on.
I was about to say, and that is one of the techniques to learn and to understand to ride MyWhoosh, how to use your cadence on the gradients and when and how to kick, and to have the ability of the right gearing to enable that kick to happen as and when you need it.
Definitely. I think that we can't state enough. Get on and ride. Jump on board and ride. Go ride on one of the group rides. Ride, know how it feels. Really interesting comment in the crosscast from our guest host, who just took her very first national championship, San Cres, the gravel championships. She said, you've got to know what it's like to ride at the front. You've got to know what it's like to ride in the middle of the group and at the back of the group. You need to know how it feels in all those positions, and you need to do that before you go out and race it.
Well, and also I would agree with that completely. And I would also say, when you ride on the MyWhoosh platform, don't just go for a ride. Try different things. See what it's like to sprint full pelt. See what it's like to sprint in the small chainring. See what it's like to sprint in the big chainring. See what it's like to hit 120 RPM versus 60 RPM. Try different things on different places on the route. Play. I think the word to use is, if you play on the platform and you play with very different formats and very different things, you get to understand and learn quicker than just riding.
Yep.
Go out and play, have fun, join the Sunday Race Club, and be here with us for a giggle on a Sunday morning whilst you hurt yourself at home.
And don't forget, MyWhoosh live on Twitch TV is where you want to be for the live coverage, for that big Technicolor definition. If you're watching live, if you're going to be watching it back, we are also on YouTube as well. Don't forget, of course, YouTube is going to be at 4K this week. So let us know if you think the difference is astounding. You actually get to see the full-on graphics because they are produced out in 4K. You can do that. The graphics are astounding. I'm not sure how much of that is going to be appreciated at the moment by Koivunen. The gap between her and Columbi is yo-yoing at between 7 and 11 seconds. But the big difference, the big difference is the time gaps that are coming down between the riders, because Koivunen can see Columbi, and it's not going to be long before Columbi can see Rodame Joy Mayer on the screen. So category 1, left hand side of your screen. Category 4, right hand side. We're on the big screen. This is Columbi, and she can see the rider in front. So here we go, Columbi on her way up here. She's got Rodame Joy Mayer in front.
Well, what is really interesting here, so Columbi chasing Mayer for the leader on the road, Koivunen chasing Columbi for the leader in the Category 1 race, and it is so interesting to watch the difference in power coming out of these two Category 1 riders. It is yo-yoing between about 5 and 6 seconds and 10 and 11 seconds, depending upon the gradient under their wheels. Take a look at that shot. That is a fantastic shot. That is Rodame Joy Mayer leading Selina Columbi from Mina Koivunen. This, I think, is the point where Rodame Joy Mayer, our Category 4 rider, who has been out front for 1 hour 25 minutes, gets taken by Celine Columbi. Columbi comes past. She is now leading the Category 1 race and leader on the road today. Absolute congratulations to Rodame Joy Mayer for staying out so long. Phenomenal effort. Bearing in mind, viewers, she did start 15 minutes before Columbi and Koivunen, but an outstanding job for her today to continue to push, leading that Category 4 race. Well, now Columbi and Koivunen is a battle royal between the two of these as they continue to push. You can just see behind the red numbers coming out of Tanya Holweller, because she is pushing for the win in the Category 2 race. Angel Hadlock is with her at the moment, and they are having a battle behind as well. So battles all the way down this mountainside.
So 4 categories, categories 4, 3, 2 and 1, setting off at 5-minute intervals. It's taken us until the final few kilometres, but category 1 are now at the front of the race with Columbi holding on from Koivunen, the rider that you can see behind us, Celine Columbi. Columbi, a multi-discipline rider, a mountain biker, a rider who's strong on the road as well, and great here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, putting that multidisciplinary skill to the fore. And that is what, at the moment, I think is making that little bit of a difference here. I think Columbi really has got this platform dialed quickly coming in. She's top left of your screen, leader in Category 1. Right hand top of your screen is our Category 2 leader. That is Angel Hadlock. Great to see Angel at the front of the race, but it's by no means over. She's got Botero Gianetti behind her inside that 10-second marker. Elevink is clear at the front of Category 3, currently 33 seconds in front of Claudia Gentili. Gentili is coming, and she's a fast rider, and she climbs well at the end of a climb. Rename Joymer, clear at the front of Category 4. She should have this sewn up, but this is cycling, and we all know in cycle sport anything can happen.
It's not over till you cross the finish line. You know, as we saw on Friday from Barcelona, we were doing the XCE.
Oh yes.
Oh my goodness. Riders thinking they were in last place, suddenly qualifying in second, because don't forget, it is not over till you cross the finish line. So Columbia continues to push at the front. And
if you want to catch up with that, let's give you a quick plug. It is go on to the UCI YouTube channel. Depending on where you are, you should be able to get it on there, or on to citymountainbike.com's YouTube channel. You can catch up with Emma and me on there, and just as importantly, you see some great race action. Yeah. And we have had rounds of the XCE from Wolfie's Bike Club down in the UAE. An amazing race there where our world champion was beaten because she decked it on the corner on the way round. But
don't give the spoilers for people who haven't watched.
Last round, the final round of the XCE, was an absolute cracker. So watch that back. Please do go on, have a watch. If you like us, you cycling fans, watch it. It is absolutely great. Yes, we did nearly break the studio jumping about because it was so exciting. We're going to be doing exactly the same here because Koivunen at the moment is struggling. Columbia is leading. Let me just remind you, my pick for the top today, that was my prediction. I have 2 in the top 3 here. I'm going to make the most of this because it doesn't happen often, believe me. So at the moment, Mina Koivunen sitting in second place, sandwiched between the rider on your right, Celine Columbia, and the rider on your left. And that is Madana Degamashandi. Degamashandi, again, a rider who has worked through those categories. That really is the theme of today, isn't it? That progression, that movement through the categories, and it's really showing. Behind Angel Hadlock, right at the front of Category 2, leading that from Botero. That gap, though, was yo-yoing up and down. That was really close at the last time we saw. The top 5, though, in Category 1 are at the very front of the race. They're on the course, and they are coming in towards their last kilometre and a half or so as we make our way up here. This is the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's qualifier race number 1. Category 1 have got position 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Will they be able to close down on our leader, Celine Columbia?
Well, I'll tell you something. Cornelia Emschong is going to be joined by Marlene Bjarhed in a moment because the rider is pushing on behind. Manshandi is 7 seconds further up the road. I do not think this is over for third place at the moment. Columbia and Koivunen are clear, but these 3 riders are having a battle royal at the moment as Engstrom pushes on. She can see Manshandi. Manshandi now kicks at 5 watts per kilo. Engstrom kicks as well because she's not going to let her go now. Bjarhed is just 1 second behind Engstrom. So these 3 are absolutely fighting furiously for third place at the moment.
There she is. Look at that. That is how close.
I know.
I mean, what a shot back. I'm not wanting to be distracted by the amazing shot down to the coastline, down from where we come from. You can see how much height we have gained. We were down on that shoreline. We were down on the bridges over the harbours. We're on the mountain. And my goodness, it is playing out on these tough slopes. Bjarhed, Engstrom, Degamashandi, all battling for position. They are the riders in 3rd, 4th, and 5th. In what order we are going to see, because I think this can still all change. In front, though, Columbia looks like she's opening the gap on Koivunen. So that is looking pretty secure. Koivunen, though, remember, she has this polka dot jersey for a reason. She was the fastest climber on our first climb. That was the Category 4 climb in the aquarium climb. That came at 9.5 kilometres through to 13K. This climb started at 25.5 kilometres. It will finish 500 metres before the summit. So remember, the polka dot banner is not the finishing line.
Well, the polka dot banner is not the finishing line, but the finishing line is 800 metres ahead of Columbia. She's got 10 seconds on Koivunen, but we know things can all change in the last few hundred metres on a climb because the gradient does not relent. So Columbia in 1, Koivunen in 2. There's 12 seconds separating them. Columbia is picking up the pace. She's just topped 5 watts per kilo, but now she's off the the pace a little bit as Koivunen continues to push. So this now really is Koivunen's to push and try and catch, but it's Columbi's to lose. We're seeing the time gap fluctuate. It's now sub 10 seconds. So Koivunen pushing, but Columbi comes under the polka dot banner, which signifies 500 meters to go.
Now, Columbia's going to take that jersey off Koivunen until Koivunen reaches there. But this is about cumulative points for the polka dot jerseys. Goes back to Koivunen. Koivunen is consistently the better climber across the two climbs. But at the moment, that is the consolation prize. That is not top step on the podium. It's first loser at the moment.
Well, first loser at the moment, but Columbi pushes on because she's going to swing round this corner, and that finish line is going to come fast because there's only 200 meters to go. Koivunen is pushing on as well behind, but Columbi now goes at 6 watts per kilo. She's going early because she does not want Mina Koivunen to catch her. So Selena Kumbi pushes on. She's got 200 meters to go, but it is getting steep. It kicks at this final section. It's 9.5%, 10.5%. That is the banner. Can she make it? Can Selena Columbi make it to the finish in front of Mina Koivunen?
Here we go. It's going to be Selena Columbi. She overturns the finals result from last month. She takes away top spot. Your winner of Qualifier Race number 1 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Selena Columbi takes the victory. It's going to be Mina Koivunen in second place. She comes through, chasing all the way to the line. What a pursuit on the slopes of the Jebel Hafit as Madana Degan Mashandi goes through the polka dot banner. She's on her way up this climb. She's looking to get up into the top in front of Engstrom. But guess how far? It's only 3 seconds behind to Engstrom. Engstrom's coming, and Bjarhed is not out of this. Oh, look how close!
Yeah, so Cornelia Engstrom pushes us at 6 watts per kilo. Can Manshandi respond? Because Engstrom is just going to come up onto the side of her. Manshandi pushes 5.6 watts per kilo. But I think Engstrom's got this. I think Manshandi cannot go any harder. But boy, she's trying to prove me wrong. She's digging. She's got grit. She is absolutely hanging in here. They've got to sweep round this right-hand corner. They've still got 200 meters to the finish line. And it is a steep 200 meters to go. Manshandi, Koivunen, Engstrom, Columbi, they have all been in here, but this is the battle for third between Engstrom and Manshandi.
So Engstrom with the white bike goes into the lead. Manshandi with the red bike tries to respond. They're in the same kit, but they don't have the same legs at the finish. Engstrom takes the spot. It's third place for Engstrom, a fourth place for Degan Mashandi. Both putting in an amazing ride. They're going to be in the prizes, subject to verification, of course. And then it should be Marlene Bjarhed, who is our next rider into the finish. So we are going to see Marlene Bjarhed. She's our 5th rider approaching the line. She's ahead of Hadlock, who has got a gap on Botero. Remember, Rona May Joy Mayer is further down the slopes as well. This will come down to those last few hundred meters. Make sure that you jump on to the results on MyWhoosh.com and get those results. They're live at the moment. They will change to unofficial. When the race is over, you can see the live results. Our first 5 riders in over the line: Columbi, Koivunen, Engstrom, Degan Mashandi, and Bjarhed, your top 5 and your first 5 riders over the line. Remember, of course, that this is currently unofficial and live. It will change to verified when all of the results are collaborated and verified. What a race. What fantastic action. Emma, great way to kick off October.
It was indeed phenomenal racing for the 1st of October.
Well, it's been a pleasure putting words to the action on International Coffee Day on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club Qualifier Race number 1. My fellow coffee addict stroke co-host is, of course, Emma Martin. You can find her at Biking Emma. You can find me at Coffee Addicts Anonymous, also at Cycling Action Anonymous, if there is such a thing. But just as importantly, you can find me and Emma for the men's race. It's coming up very shortly. Make sure you get on to the action. But from all of the team at MyWhoosh, also fellow coffee addicts, and from, of course, Emma and myself, stay safe. We'll see you again soon.
Goodbye.